Hello and welcome. My screen name is Covert Muffin, and this is going to be a GDQ submission for the Ori and the Blind Forest Randomizer. So here in Ori, we have a 2D Metroidvania as a base game, and this basically means that as you progress through the game, you're going to end up finding skills. And those skills will get you some extra mobility so that you can be able to access and unlock new portions of the map. So either being able to destroy a certain colored object, or to be able to jump and interact with walls, or jump really high, etc., etc. And the randomizer, it takes all of these skill locations, and takes every single static pickup location, and then it randomly shuffles them in a cup, and randomly distributes them all around. So, for example, this next pickup I'm going to collect, it is usually just an EXP orb. But it could be another resource, like a health cell, or a keystone, for instance, which is a useful resource. Or it could have been a skill, like charge jump, which allows me to jump really high, etc., etc. So the logic basically says that every single seed you start, you can finish, so it always guarantees that you will find a skill in the pool of pickups that allow you to progress to the next section. So with that, I just also used a new bindable function within the randomizer. It is randomizer exclusive, which is known as Alt-R. Basically, every single time I press Alt-R, it's going to allow me to teleport back to the start of the map. And this is in order to just prevent softwalks, because as speedrunners, we find all sorts of creative ways to be able to get stuck in certain areas that we can't jump or escape out of. But right now, I still don't have my first skill yet. I am only on basic resources. I found 2 keystones, which is going to open this door and get me access to a new area to check. And there, that second energy cell is nice. And just experience in the water, so I'm not going to keep that. I dropped a save right before I did that poison swim, so that's going to allow me to save warp back to where I saved. Cool. Alright, so progressing on through, what I am looking for is just some sort of skill that gives me either a wall interaction or a little bit of verticality, or maybe it's going to give me a teleport, because there are also a slew of creative pickups that basically allow you to get to new parts of the map without actually being in the base game. So unlocking waypoints, usually you have to jump on them, or just like land on them, and that allows you to fast travel to them. But, just like I got there, the Horu teleporter is now active. So I have access to the final dungeon, even before I found any skills. And so here, there's only going to be 2 more pickups right now that are in logic in this early game Glades area. And so... Oh, okay, well, that's Sunstone. So now that confirms that something could be in Horu. So now that I have the dungeon key that unlocks Mount Horu, which is the final dungeon, and I have the teleporter, that means that I could end up having to go there in order to find that progression itself. So while there is one pickup that you can actually get to from the Horu teleporter that is guarded by this Baneling that just like is an instant one-shot. So we'll see what is there. So, yep, okay, so that's just a keystone. There's no other way for me to get any other pickup on the map except for the one in Horu. So we're going to see what that is momentarily. So this is kind of a slow start because it's a teleporter, but it's only one pickup is possible from this teleporter. It's not like getting a swamp teleporter where if you find wall interaction in swamp TP, then most of the right side map is actually going to be open. So the early game goal is to find some sort of skill to allow me to access the first couple of trees, which is going to be like Dash Tree, as well as to find some way to get to the right side of the map. Oh no, okay, well, so there's Swamp Teleporter, and this is usually the like, worst possible sign for a seed. Right now, there's only a couple of additional pickups that are actually accessible, because I still don't have any skills. But if I find any sort of wall interaction or verticality, then this actually opens up a lot of areas on the right side of the map, and a lot of them take a really long time to walk to. So if I find wall interaction within the first 3 pickups, it could be like 20 to 25 minutes before I find my next bit of progression, like a skill. That's going to take me into the late game. Or the seed could just be really nice and give me a ton of skills, like all in a row. And then that would end up allowing me to just start pushing trees. because before I am allowed to start and finish the final escape, I must visit and activate every single skill location, regardless of whether or not they actually end up holding a skill. Alright, so there is going to be a pickup over here. This one's kind of difficult to get to. I'm going to use a backflip there to easily get past this guy, and then I am going to absolutely take this guy out, because I'm only on 1 health. So here's a really precise jump. Even though I don't have wall interaction, if I jump at the right time, there we go, I can actually end up vaulting myself over that ledge. And this is in logic. So this pickup here could be progression. And it is indeed charge jump. Okay, charge jump is probably one of the best things I could have found early. There are only a handful of skills that really have a high impact on randomizer, and charge jump is indeed one of them. If I end up finding 1 or 2 other skills that supplement charge jump, I have access to most areas in the map. So just being able to have this skill this early on is going to be absolutely insane. So here I decide that I actually just want to check one more pickup before I start heading towards Moon Grotto, which has a skill tree in it. And I indeed find a Mega Energy for my troubles. I could use this to open up an energy door, but that gives me access to the right side of the map, excuse me. But I still don't have wall interaction. So here I'm going to do a trick by using iframes from respawning to just be able to get over that 3 damage spike bit. So even though I only have a maximum health of 3, I can actually just use a Death Abuse in order to be able to get past that section. So that's some really nice just intuition. And this is a lot of randomizers, just like taking the tools at your disposal, finding really creative ways in order to get through. So here, I don't think I just realized that I don't actually have Rekindle, which allows me to resave. But if I save before a cutscene trigger, walk over that cutscene trigger, and then save the game after I cross it, what ends up happening is it allows me to either enter or skip most cutscenes. And so that was very nice that I was able to do that there. That's going to allow me to backtrack through that area. So here I'm just checking 2 more pickups in order to see what the game is going to give me. And then I'm going to start heading down into Moon Grotto and towards Double Jump Tree. So I decide that I ultimately want to keep that pickup. That's probably a good decision. And there is Gumon Seal, which is another dungeon, and that gives me access to Forlorn. Forlorn is the only dungeon that we may not necessarily have to visit, because Forlorn does not have a skill tree or a skill location, excuse me, hidden within it. It only contains like an escape, and that escape may or may not have something useful. But the other 2 dungeons, Ginso Tree and Mount Horu, are required. I already have Sunstone and Mount Horu TP, which is very phenomenal to get early on in the siege. But I do not have access to Ginso Tree quite yet. And I have to go to Ginso Tree because it has a skill location. But I also have to go to Mount Horu because it contains the final escape. And the final escape is going to spawn the end game cutscene. So that's kind of like the win condition whenever you play this game. Cool. Alright, so here we're going to do a trick known as the Save Anywhere. We're going to bring up my save menu, be able to move around with it. And then if I level up an ability after crossing a certain portion of the cutscene trigger, it allows me to get a lot of height, just like you saw there. And we are going to be using that trick all over the place, especially in randomizer. Because saving the game at really specific locations is going to be useful. And normally you are not allowed to move around with the ability menu up. That is absolutely a glitch. So there's my next skill, that is Stomp. And Stomp, in conjunction with Charge Jump, is one of those combinations I was sort of alluding to the beginning. Where Charge Jump allows you to break ceilings, Stomp is going to allow you to break floors. So this actually gives me access to another tree location, which is going to be Stomp Tree itself, which is normally where you find Stomp in the vanilla game. And there is another skill, which is Grenade. So now I can destroy blue things, like petrified plants, which have pickups. And, oh, yeah, I'm just trying to charge jump off this ledge, but it's not allowing me. I'm going to try a few more. I have gotten a charge jump there before. And I'm going to try left wall to no avail, so I'm just going to get back up and go through the crushers. If I was able to do that, that would have allowed me to check that pickup a little bit quicker. But that's okay. But right now that I fell down here, I can't actually get to the left side of Grotto. I probably could if I did a save anywhere to be able to do another Death Abuse, to be invulnerable to snipe damage, but that's kind of like out of the way, and it's kind of the opposite direction from skill tree. I can always backtrack out of double jump tree to be able to check those anyway. But yeah, just experience over here, but getting a level up is nice, and then killing those enemies for some extra supplementary experience is nice. So here I remember that I just don't have wall interaction, so I'm just going to take my time because I do want to check this pickup. However, the spikes in this crusher here deal 1 damage, the spikes in here deal 2 damage. So I have to take at least 1 damage boost, and I decide that the experience pickup was not worth it to keep. So I'm just going to use the fact that I placed a save by the key door to just take an intentional death and get there a little bit sooner. Alright, so we are at our next skill tree, which is going to be double jump. And I believe, yes. So here I ended up finding double jump. And this is really, 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 really good. So I have grenade, which allows me to break blue walls and blue plants. I have charge jump, which gets me a lot of height. And I now have double jump, which is a pseudo form of wall jump. So it's not climb or wall jump, but every single time I touch a wall, it ends up refreshing double jump. So I can actually use this to climb walls, even though I can't hold onto them or jump off of them. So that being said, this is actually very, very, very insanely nice. Because this is going to allow me to interact with walls and actually be able to have a little bit of air retention. Also, double jump is one of the skills that doesn't have very many requirements in the randomizer to get access to certain areas. So the logic has a high variability with where it may or may not place double jump on the map. So finding double jump in a place like that is just like, that's absolutely huge. It's absolutely huge. Alright, so now we are in Blackroot Burrows. Blackroot Burrows is going to have 2 skill tree locations, and I actually can get to both of them. One of them is going to be kind of normal, as you might expect, where I just have to bring this orb to a pedestal, which is going to reveal the tree, allowing me to get access. But the other one is not in logic yet, because I do not have dash. But we still can actually get to it using a bit of creativity. Ooh, yeah, okay, so I just took a bit of a death there. That's a little bit of time loss, but I fully expect when I have like a skill set like this in such low health. Like, I have not found any other things that increase my maximum health. That I'm just going to end up taking a death here or there. So what do I need to actually be able to finish out this seed? Well, finding a skill such as Bash, or finding a teleporter and something like Climb to the left side of the map would also do it for me. So there, I just try and like double jump using charge jump to get up to the lever, but you actually need triple jump in order to be able to do that. I think there is a setup to be able to do it with double jump, but it's very precise, and because I don't have direct interaction with the pillar itself, it can be very, very spooky and very risky to be able to go for that. Whoops! Okay, yeah, I missed. So I accidentally missed the jump there. That's totally okay. That's totally okay. That's kind of like a 20-second time loss, but I've had worse, man. I've had worse. That just happens. I was trying to bring the orb to a bit of a safer location. Didn't quite get it, so I'm just going to go for the normal movement, which is just charge jumping off this block. And boom, with double jump, I'm able to get a little bit of safety because I messed up the charge jump. But yeah, here we go. We're going to use a Save Anywhere glitch in order to be able to enter another cutscene. And so this is going to just be an excellent time to read a couple of donations while I just run around in this cutscene and then get my next skill tree. Cool. All right. Reading donations. Alright, great, thank you so much. Yeah, so there I tried for a little bit of semi-blind movement, But not having direct wall interaction with like wall jump or climb made it a little bit too tricky for me able to go for, because with double jump what I have to do is I have to touch the wall, quickly get like a pixel or two off the wall, and then go back into the direction of the wall to reactivate double jump again. So if I kind of like flutter my inputs correctly, I can end up climbing walls with double jump. And we'll probably see that a little bit later on unless I find wall interaction soon. But yeah, here we go. Here's a save anywhere for a little bit of safety. I don't actually know if I end up using the save anywhere here. I probably do just because I have enough ability cells. But I'm just going to end up checking over here to the right before heading downwards towards the next skill tree, because this has a couple pickups. They are in logic right now. Alright, great. So here we go. I just have to kill this slime. Yeah, so there was a couple of those like double jump flutters to be able to check these pickups. One more pickup over here to check, and it was absolutely nothing. It wasn't ability cell. Ability cells are nice because they allow me to keep progressing up this cyan tree as you see me building into. Because right at the end there is triple jump, which gets me another additional jump mid-air before I have to reset. Or excuse me, it is going to get me ultra defense. And ultra defense is going to be very useful because it's going to cut a lot of the damage I end up taking. And so it reduces the amount of health that is required for me to be able to finish out a seed. Awesome. So there I just did another save anywhere to be able to do a bit of a death abuse. After taking a death, if you save the game, it basically just allows you to respawn. And so using save anywhere there is going to allow me to do that. Then I'm just going to do this again. I'm going to jump up here and boop. Yep. And that's going to get me past those lasers, no problem. So normally you're like supposed to have dash, and there's this whole sort of event that you have to do. But here's another save where I'm going to cross a cutscene trigger and just completely skip that cutscene trigger. So this is just like the real power of being able to make use of the resources I have at hand. Because ability cells directly alone are not that powerful, but when I use them in conjunction with things like save anywhere, I get access to the skill tree while I'm in the general area. Because backtracking in Ori Randomizer is probably the biggest time loss. So I want to keep pushing towards these trees because they are my overall primary objective. So there I just forgot that I ended up activating that lantern. And then here, I guess I am considering probably going to Stomp Tree. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. And we're gonna go. We're gonna go do that. Yeah, so I have multiple different ways to get to Stomp Tree now, especially with Grenade and Charge Jump, and then Charge Jump and Stomp. However, I've already sort of shored up Upper Swamp, so I am gonna go for the lower route. And here I was just forgetting that I don't have enough health. You need to take 1 damage boost there if you don't have wall interaction, and I don't have wall interaction. So the damage boost would be 3 damage though, and I still only have a maximum health of 3. So I still don't have the capability to be able to go over and check that. So here after you throw 3 grenades, the one down there will just explode. And so there it exploded, destroying that petrified plant, getting me another pickup. It was just experience, but worth the check regardless. So there I'm going to save the game, and then if this is nothing, yeah, it was a keystone that probably could have been good to hold on to, but it's kind of a pain to be able to get out of that area without, once again, any wall interaction. Great. Yep, so here's more of those double jump flutters where I go in and out of the wall to be able to climb up. And it's pretty tricky, but I am just a seasoned veteran of Rando. Nice. So there I just got 2 extremely big pickups. I got a health cell, which increased my maximum health by 1, which is absolutely huge because I haven't found anything to increase my max health. And I found Ginso Teleporter. So remember, we have to get into Ginso Tree to be able to visit a skill location. However, because I haven't found Water Vein yet, that is going to be very, very, very nice. And there I find another keystone, but I decide that's probably not worth it. I'll probably find some other keystones later, and I can always do a key duplication glitch to increase the keystones I have for quintessentially free. Great. Okay, well, we are now going to head into Stomp Tree. This is currently not in logic because I don't have wall interaction, I believe. And I believe the game does expect me to be able to have wall interaction to do that. But here is more double jump flutters. This is like the tricky bit, and why the game would probably require you to have interaction. So here I have to nail these flutters, otherwise I fall into the poison water and start taking damage. Next, I have to do a pretty spooky damage boost here, which deals 2 damage. And nice, I get it first try. That's really great. That was very, very good to get that first try. Alright, well here we go. Here is Stomp Tree. And that is going to get me Water Bait. So this seed, I got insanely lucky with just where those dungeon keys ended up being. Not only that, but I have both Ginso Teleporter and Ori Teleporter. So even though I've been a bit starved on kind of like a really big power skill, which is going to solidify my go mode, I still have had extremely good luck with finding those dungeon keys. So up next, I am going to end up taking the plunge into Ginso, I believe. And yeah, okay, yeah. So here I'm wondering whether or not I should use the Ginso Teleporter, or if I should just teleport to Thornfeld Swamp and go into the front entrance. And there, as I'm showing with my mouse cursor, I only have 3 keystones. So on either end of Bash Tree, which is a skill location that may or may not have Bash once again, I end up needing 4 keystones to get into that area. However, there's 2 pickups here I haven't checked because I didn't have the ability to break through plants. One of them is an energy cell, which is nice. I don't need that though, because I don't have anything really that costs energy besides saving the game. And then the other reason is that if you go in the front entrance here to make your way up towards Bash Tree, there are actually more pickups that I have available to me before I reach Bash Tree. So that's going to end up giving me a higher probability of being able to get to Bash Tree if I just take the plunge in. This is a little bit risky because I still haven't visited Sea Flame Tree. There's a lot of pickups on the map, but worst comes to worst, I just end up having to do a key duplication glitch, which is no problem because once again, I have practiced the randomizer quite a lot. So here I'm actually going to exit the dungeon to check one more pickup just in case this is a keystone, or if it is my go mode skill, because I have Grenade, and I did not have Grenade when I first visited this area. But entering the dungeon ended up saving the game, so if it's nothing, which is just experience, I can just quit and reload to save some time backtracking. Alright, let's go. So Ginso Tree is going to be a little bit spooky in a few of these areas, because I once again don't have wall jump or climb. Get on the platform! Okay, there we go. And as you imagine, it can be just very tricky to be able to precisely land on those very, very skinny columns to be able to progress. But I was able to get through there after some effort. Nice. Alright, so just experience so far, not what I'm looking for. I'm really looking for that last skill that's going to do it for me. A health cell, though, is actually very, very, very nice. Because I am starting to get close to Ultra Defense, and even though I don't have Glide, even though I don't have Bash, if I find something like Climb, like literally just Climb, I will actually have entered Go mode. Because that will, in conjunction with the rest of my skills, get me access to the left side of the map to visit the last 3 skill locations, and then I can finish the final escape even if I do not have necessary skills such as Bash and Glide. It's just going to end up being like 10 times more difficult. Alright, here we go. So here's a mini-boss. That movement there is actually pretty precise. I want to like move forward and land on the ground right before the mini-boss is able to get away. And if I did that, then I'm able to charge jump into the mini-boss before his first cycle begins. And so that allows me to deal over half this health. So that was just a really, really fast technical mini-boss kill. Nicely done. Alright, health regen 1 is really great because it also increases my maximum health pool because my health starts regenerating immediately. So you can think of the first time you find health regen to be +1 max health. Alright, we hit Bash Tree, but we still haven't found anything. But this area is really pickup dense, so I'm going to continue. Whoops. And there it is. That is Go mode. So I've now entered Go mode with finding Bash. And literally just the capability of being able to latch onto targets like his Frankie or those lanterns or projectiles, and then bash Ori in one direction and those projectiles in another one is literally going to make the rest of my game insanely easy. So Bash is probably the most powerful skill to find. Like, if you start with Bash and Seed, you actually have access to pretty much every single skill location, just immediately, with the exception of maybe one or maybe two. So that being said, I actually no longer need any sort of wall interaction. I am just checking just in case for marathon safety. So checking these extra pickups, even though I don't necessarily need to, says in a marathon setting, I'm going to lose 1 minute intentionally to just guarantee that I get some extra resources. So finding that one keystone there is actually going to allow me to do key duplication in another area, because there's still one more key door that I have to get through. But here I just completely forget that I still have Sea Flame Tree, and then I remember immediately after. So we're going to head over here to grab that tree, and then start progressing towards the left side of the map to get my final 3 skill locations before I close out the seed. That being said, this is just an excellent time to read off a bunch of donations, because I'm just going to be kind of like running and jumping and getting over to the left side of the map. Cool. Alright. Alright, oh yeah, I forgot I did this. So I'm going to just attempt some blind movement here. They're still reading donations, but I'm probably just going to let them like read donations for another, I don't know, like 40, 50, 60 seconds. And then like just interacting with the donations as they get read, just as moving as bad as I mess up the blind movement. Nice, dude. Alright. Oh boy. Oh, I'm yawning. Yeah, so I'm just like recording commentary over this run I did, but it went pretty well, even though it took me a bit to find Bash, but that's okay. Like having Ori teleporter is just absolutely insane. That really speeds up the seed a lot as well. And great, thank you so much for those donations. So upcoming here, I actually did find my piece of wall interaction. I now have wall jump. 27 minutes into the seed, or 26 minutes into the seed when I found it. So that is very, very nice. But here, I'm just going to show off how insane Bash is, right? I can do this trick known as double bashing, which is not as precise of a trick as it is in normal Ori. And then that allows me to shove an enemy or a projectile in one direction, and then shove Ori, decide the direction that Ori travels in afterwards. So a big skill I'm actually missing here is Glide. And so without Glide, it's actually going to make getting through the area known as Sorrow very, very difficult. However, I am just very comfortable with my late game movement, even in skill-starved locations. So I am going to be able to churn out a consistent run here, even without that skill. Next, coming over here, I'm going to show off a trick known as Fast Stompless. Instead of going over and stomping the rocks, I'm going to bash that projectile in a precise angle and location, and then I'm just going to wait over here for it to hit the rocks. Boop. So hitting that rocks destroys them, thus triggering the cutscene, because the destruction of the rocks is what triggers the cutscene, not having Ori over there to break them. So that was a nice little trick. Doesn't really save as much time in Randomizer as it would in a category such as all skills or all cells for a normal speedrun, but it's still a nice trick anyway. Alright, cool, so we have the Glide skill location, so I only need 2 more skill location or skill trees before I am able to progress towards the end of the run. So here, just what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go for Sorrow first. I could dig for Glide and Misty, but instead I am just going to get Sorrow with right immediately. So actually the correct play probably would have been going to Misty, but I just ended up, whoops, oh no, messing up some movement there, and then I also just lost track of my keystone count. Alright, nice, okay, so here's going to be a trick known as Sorrow Bash, where I am going to manipulate some bird, or multiple birds, to just come over here, and then I am going to bash them in very specific angles and locations. Ooh, that one was a little spooky, but I was able to catch up to it before it died to the spikes. And now I have entered Sorrow. Normally in all skills and other categories of Ori, we have Glide when we get here. So I can just end up leisurely gliding up. But I don't have Glide. and I don't have a skill like dash. So what I'm going to do is, in order to get access to the tree, I end up having to break a ceiling. So I'm going to take this mortar worm shot on an adventure, and ooh, okay, so I accidentally bashed off the wrong projectile. I just barely missed my timing window by a fraction of a second. That's okay, that's okay. I'm just gonna come back after killing the frog and give it another shot. So this is just a really precise trick in one location, which is right here, just getting it past this floor. Because I can't hit it into the floor, because then that would destroy the shot. But nicely done, able to get through there second try, and all I have to do is carry it up to the ceiling. Nice, okay. Next I'm going to save here. So here I actually forget I have Bash Grenade, which gets me more height. And so what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to save the game up here, and then end up healing back up. Nicely done. And then I'm just going to, try and damage boost off of these spikes. And this is the cool thing about Randomizer as well. It's like, you forget, right? You forget, like, how to get through certain sections, but just, like, going back through the sections and repuzzling it out on the spot is just absolutely amazing. Because I know it's possible, but I just have to figure it out. Okay, so here I'm going to do a trick, because I forgot that I don't have 4 keystones to open this door, and I am going to set up something known as a zombie Ori. So there, after taking the death, I am just going to save the game using the save anywhere, and here I realize that that I don't have the keystones to be able to get through the door. So I am going to revert the save, and luckily, my most recent save was very, very, very recent. So I'm just going to travel back down into Sorrow and check some locations and hope that I find one more keystone very, very soon. Otherwise, it's going to make Sorrow a little bit longer. So here we go. Turning in my first map stone here, which gets me a pickup, and it was Charge Flame. So whenever you turn in a map stone, it ends up also getting you a pickup, regardless of which pedestal you turn it into. That being said, that was map stone 1 for the turn-in, and it was Charge Flame. So just the lack of not finding any map stones throughout the run delayed my capability of killing blue things. But I was able to find Grenade anyway, so I had that instead. But now that I have Charge Flame, now that I have my 4th keystone, I am going to head back up and do this trick once again. That requires a very, very precise Bash Grenade setup. And boop, gonna save the game. Jump into some spikes to reset my save timer, even though I take a death anyway. And then set my grenades up in a precise spot. And then double jumping through. And then here I will take a death. Boop. But being able to do a zombie Ori state gets me some iframes, and I'm able to get through spike caverns, no problem. And that's a pretty advanced trick, but we've been doing that in Randomizer since it came out like a couple of years ago. So here we go, here is Charge Jump Tree, and so here I'm going to do a bit of blind movement by saving the game and then quitting and reloading, which is going to allow me to move around while this cutscene plays out. And so I'm just currently in the start area. Then dropping the save helps the camera actually zoom back in on me and allows me to progress through. Nicely done. Alright, so we're rapidly approaching the finish to the seed, so here we're going to be entering the final area in order to get the last skill location, which is going to be Misty Woods, and aka Climb Tree. So that being said, this is an excellent time to read off some more donations as I start to progress through Misty. Cool. You know something I haven't mentioned yet is that grenades don't cost energy in Randomizer. I always forget these like little details. I should like write up some notes and stuff for stuff to do with this gets accepted. Yeah. Alright, so more donations. Monka Omega. Save, even though I don't need to. Still more and more donations. Cool. Donations. Alright, great. Thank you so much. That being said, going through Misty, it's pretty self-explanatory with these skills. Having dash and glide would be really, really nice, but not having them is not too bad, because we do have double jump for air retention. We also have bash grenade, which is going to allow me to build some extra horizontal velocity in places where I really don't have something to bash off of. And that being said, in the randomizer, a really cool effect, because we like the movement of bash grenading, is that grenades do not cost energy in the randomizer. So we are able to actually just infinitely use them. And this is in order to allow bash grenade as an early movement option to get verticality and seed logic. But yeah, here we go, the final skill location for me, which is going to be climb tree, and then the seed is going to quickly come to an end, because I already have Ori teleporter, so I already have access to the final escape. And after collecting 10 skill tree locations, that is going to unlock the final escape as well. Whoops! Alright, so accidentally bashing at weird angles, but I'm able to get down. Spaghetti. Great, okay, here we go. So this is actually a really good pace for the seed. And really what it came down to was finding the dungeon keys and dungeon teleporters early on. So having Water Vein, having Sunstone, having Horde Teleporter, and having Ginso Teleporter are insanely nice for a seed. But here I'm going to go for a 1-frame wrong warp, and I get it. So entering that door on the first frame I have control of Ori is going to allow me to wrong warp directly to the final escape, thus causing me to be able to get access. And you might be wondering how I was able to despawn the lava in the main room. Well, in the randomizer, that's just already taken away. And the reason for that is to allow the teleporter to be a viable. Alright, here we go. Well, this is going to be the final escape. Not going to be too much of a problem. The only really difficult room is actually going to be the very last one. The reason for that is that I don't have glide. So I am going to end up skipping a Kuro spawn trigger so that I don't have a certain amount of time before Kuro ends up spawning and taking me out. So here is the next room, but having triple jump and bash is going to just allow me to go up to the elemental and bash off that shot, no problem. Alright, here's a poison swim, which is normally scary, but having ultra defense cuts the poison water in half. But here I'm going to double bash the fish in a really precise spot in order to, yes, be able to barely skip that Kuro trigger. Nicely done. And now, boom, crossing the finish line. So timing is going to be coming up in about a minute from now, and that is going to close out the randomizer. So some other really interesting things is that I actually found bash pretty late in the seed, and finding bash early is one of two skills that drastically decreases the amount of time that a randomizer will take. Dash is another skill that I actually just ended up never finding in the seed. If you find dash, you will save minutes on your end time. So even though this was a sub 40, finding dash could have brought this down easily to a 35 or a 36 for the run overall. And then finding bash even earlier would have cut down on the number of pickups I checked and sent me into go mode much sooner. But that being said, I still had some really nice cleanup. I had nice plays pushing for trees while still checking high density areas and pickups, and was able to come in with a sub 40 time. And so for me, it's very rare that I'll actually ever get a seed that is over 50 minutes. I think in my last couple of 100 seeds, like maybe 200 or so, I've only had maybe 2 or 3 seeds that have been over 50 minutes. And that's just because they've been absolutely terrible starts. Or I just took a lot of deaths or something. But yeah, GG, there is time. And I close it out with a 38-48. GG. So another awesome thing to note is that this was a pretty mid-range seed, but I was able to come in with a sub 40 time. So just even with pretty big mistakes, I took a couple of big deaths, I forgot the Keystones in Sorrow, I was able to still have a really nice solid average time. And that's why I'm going to be submitting with an overall end time of, I can't remember what I said it was between 45 and 50 minutes. Probably 45 minutes. And what we'll end up doing is, as a community, is we'll just end up vetting a couple of seeds, and then we will take the seeds that end up pretty much guaranteeing that I could get a sub 40, so that I have that extra 5 minutes of spaghetti. So that way we still have a nice exploration element where I'm going to be going to a lot of different areas on the map to shore up pickups. but I will have the necessary tools at my disposal to guarantee that I'll be able to close out a solid run on the main stage. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this submission. And this is going to do it for me. Have a great evening.